So I'm really excited about this video. Why? Because I've got early access to Suno Studio for you guys to check out. So let's get started. Hey everyone, this is Barry from Music Tech Info. Hope you're doing well today. So I'm so pleased to present this. This is like the first look, but also quite a deep dive into what you can do with Studio, right? So I've featured a lot of videos on this channel, as you'll know, regarding Suno Studio, but this is the first proper look that we are able to take. Now, in terms of navigation, first thing that you've got, you might be presented with the home page. It might look a bit different to this, and you've got Studio on the left-hand side. So if you've got that, that means you've got access to Studio. You've got your typical create, your typical library, your search, all the rest of it. But just by clicking on this, you are then taken straight into Suno Studio, which is so exciting. Now, what you'll notice first of all is the screen is split up into 4 different columns. You've got your menu bar down the left-hand side, as normal, but with the addition of Suno Studio. Now, on the first column that you've got, which is this one, you've got your typical create, where you can create your typical generations as you're pretty much used to with your normal editing. And there's an instrument section on here as well. You've got your model to choose from. So I've selected version 4.5 Plus Pro Beta because that's the latest model to use, which is great. And you're able to hide any of these columns by clicking on the top left just to do that, and it will hide those columns. Similar to the menu really, you can see you've got Studio here if I enlarge that. Now bear in mind that there might be some changes between you watching this video and the actual release. This is beta early access preview, so I've got early access to this, which is fantastic because we can give it a try. Now, so that's your first column in terms of your creations of your generations. Then what you've got in column 2 is you've got your typical workspaces, and this is where you can see your library and you're able to use it as you typically would do. In column 3, this is about the Suno Studio functionality in terms of the time frame. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, and don't worry because we can move this stuff around. I'll show you that in a minute. And on the 4th, it'll be details. So if I just click on one of the tracks now, on the very right hand side you'll see that you got the details pane, which again we're pretty much used to, aren't we? Now we can use keyboard shortcuts on here. So what I mean by that is if you select it and press 1, that's going to minimize or expand column 1. Same for number 2 on the keyboard. It's so nice to do this because you can have the screen exactly how you want. If I press 3, that then expands 3, and the same with 4, hide 4 or show 4. So if I minimize everything but the Suno Studio, you've got a full screen to work from, which is just so amazing, because that was my first concern, is that you've only got a bit of space to work with. No, this is like a fully fledged door now in terms of what we got access to. So exciting. Now I've brought them all back just for the purposes of this video to make it self-explanatory, but I've already created my generation that I want to use on this particular project. So I'm going to hide number 1 because I'm not going to need the first column. So I'll just press number 1 on the keyboard and that's now hidden. I've got Cyber Death here. Now this is using the latest model. I really do like this track, by the way. In terms of the ellipse button, you've got your normal things that you are typically used to doing, which is great. So if I select that track now, and I can simply drag and drop this onto here if I want to, onto the actual Studio and let go. And then that's literally just copied that entire track onto here. So if you just want to splice this track as it is, as like one stem in its entirety, then that's something that you'll be able to do, and which is great. So you can change it in terms of cutting it and splicing it as you wish, just by dragging from the left or from the right at the top of the stem. And that's really smooth to do in terms of the transition there, which is great. You've also got the fade in, so you can drag the bottom of the stem to fade into the track. And you've got fade out as well, which is brilliant to use. And obviously when we extract the stems, this is what you can do on each individual stem, which is great. And to show you that, you've got extract stems on the right hand side in terms of the details panel. So I'm going to click extract stems now. I've got 2 options. I've got all detected stems, or I've got vocals and instrumental. So I'm going to click all detected stems now. And this is what it's producing right now. Bear with it until it's completed. And while we're waiting, just to let you know, you do have at the top right, you've got layout. So you can toggle between horizontal and vertical layout. So I can do that now so you can see the difference here. And I can click that to go back to the normal one. And you've got your credits on here on the top right as well. So you can see now it's starting to complete those stems one by one, and once it's done we're able to insert those into Studio. And when that's completed, what we're able to do is scroll all the way to the bottom, and you've got download as an option, but you've also got insert all. Now you'll have two different versions. So version 2 is still processing, but if I'm happy with version 1 in terms of the stem extraction, then I'm just going to click insert all. Whoa, look at that. That's amazing. So now what we're doing is we're working step by step. So we could create our generation or just use our generation. So you'd select it from the Create tab or Workspaces, and then we extract the stems, and then you're able to include those on here. Now obviously I'm not going to need this whole stem in its entirety, but I'm going to use it as a guide, okay? But I'm going to mute it because I like to see visually what we've got in its entirety on the track. So now what we've got is we've got all of these stems extracted. So I'm not going to need the details page at the moment, so I'm just going to hit number 4 just to hide the details pane there. And what you can see, we've got all of our nice individual stems here, which is great. So now that I've muted the top track, what we can now listen to is the song. So I'm just going to rewind it here, rewind, and press play. So you can see that we're starting with the guitar, and then you get in the keyboard coming in terms of a bit of piano there. What you'll also notice on the bottom left is you've got some stuff down here. So you've got settings, you've got the beats per minute here, and you're able to change those if you want to, if it's on manual. But you've also got the metronome as well, so you can enable the metronome on or off. We're going to leave that off for now. You can loop it, you can go back to the start of the section, play, or use the space bar as well, or pause it, and you've got forward to the next section as well. You've got the time frame here. These are great because you've got your zoom in, your zoom out, so we can see the track in its entirety on one screen, which is great, and you can reset the zoom as well. So lots of stuff to explore. So let's have another listen to the track. Got bass coming in now, get ready. And drums. Sounding good, really sounding good, so I'm really happy with this. Now what we're able to do now on the left hand side, I'm going to move myself again, and what we've got on the left hand side, we've got all of our tracks. So we've got the name of the tracks. You can change the name of the tracks if you want to with the pencil icon. You've also got the panning, so you've got the left panning to the right sliders, which you can use if you want to. You've also got volume control on here on each stem as well, so it goes by dB. So you're able to work with dB if you wish. There's also the ellipse button, which is the 3 dots. Now this is where you can delete the track completely. You can duplicate the track if you want like a backup and you want to work with it, and you can rename it as well. So it's nice that we've got those options. There's also this S here. Now you will only hear solo. So if I click on S, you'll see that only the guitar is now selected. I click play. And that's all we can hear. It switches each time you click S to the next track that you're focusing on. Because in essence, you should only be able to solo one track. So that's really good. You've also got this up arrow here. So if you've got a lot of stems that you're working with and you just want to kind of minimize the tracks, you're able to do that with that up arrow and down arrow to maximize as you wish. Now if you want to spend time with doing this, you might want to listen to each section in its entirety by itself, just to see if there's any noise that you're not happy with. Like for example, I can click solo, right? I can go to this section and click play. And this is great because you can just focus your mind just on one section if you wish, or multiple, which you're able to do as well. So that's great. If you want to do multiple, you've got the mute button just to let you know. So you can mute more than one track at a time. And that's another way of being able to control what you want to listen to. And don't forget as well, you've got the details pane to kind of help you with things. So you can see when you select that, you've got various options. But to be honest, you can do all of the functionality currently by the left-hand side of the screen. So if I just click 4, that'll just hide it. And now I can do that. Now at the top, what you also have, you've got an undo, which is really handy. So if I accidentally delete a track, which I really wouldn't want to do, or even a section, okay, I can click undo and it'll just bring it straight back. Or I'm able to redo as well, which is really useful. You're able to do various things with your project by clicking on your untitled project, where you can open new projects, you can create a brand new project, you can rename what yours is already called. You've got versions as well in terms of audit history, which is amazing because all of these projects are saved automatically, and you can copy link to project as well. So lots of nice functionality there. In fact, what I am going to do is I'm going to rename this project and just call it Cyber Death because that is what I'm working with. You might want to use version control, so I'm just going to start with version 1. It's good to do that. It's best practice to do that, really. Now, as I've explained before, you've got functionality within this, so you can kind of chop out any noise that you may not want before this. Makes it a lot cleaner, you know. And this is a kind of functionality that we never had with Suno before. You may want to fade it in just a little bit. So then we can check out what it sounds like. We've got the timeline up here, you see, in this bar here, this yellow bar, where you can kind of see 25, 33, 41. So those are your bars, things there. And you're able to fade in the entire track as well with that. So let's have a listen. If I go to that and click play, it's going to start playing from that exact point. Now, I might want the guitar to fade in at that point, so I'm going to make it around there. It's nice that you got the end point there as well, so I'm going to do it about there. Now, let's listen to how it sounds now. So it's fading in the guitar, which is great. This just allows you to clean up so much. Loving how that sounds right now. Now, one of the amazing things that you can do with Studio is the fact that you can go into other projects, you can extract stems and you can incorporate those into this project if you wish. You're able to upload as well, which is really cool to do. Now, Studio gives you a lot more control. So for example, I've got some noise on here, but I don't really want it in terms of this effect track. So I can right click on here, and then you've got the option to either create a section or split. So you've got the shortcuts shown on here. So I'm going to split that. That's now split that and that into 2 different stems. And I'm just going to delete the first one. So that makes things really more straightforward. Now you're able to move as you wish by just dragging on the top. Remember, you've got the undo button, so you can drag it to wherever you want on any particular stem that you've got. And you've always got that undo button to take you back to where you were before. And this allows you to rearrange, chop and tweak as you wish in this studio. So as another example, I've got this keyboard section here and it's not used anywhere else. So I'm just going to minimize it to there. So then I know I've got headroom for more stuff if I want to in the future. Also, if I right click on the top of the stem, I'm able to copy, duplicate, delete, heal edits, crop and reload lyrics if that's what I've got, or even remix. So I'm going to duplicate. And that's got another one in here. So I'm just going to listen to where that works in terms of fitting it in. Let's have a quick listen. Now, if you want more control, you can zoom in and that allows you to pinpoint a lot better. So I might want these keyboard sections to be at the very beginning of the track. So let's have a listen now. Now you can see you've got the time bars on here, so you can see I'm a little bit off, so I'm just going to zoom in again. I'm going to use my mouse to go to the beginning. You can see that gap here, so I'm just going to erase that gap just by using the slider, and I'm going to move it again. And now you can see the more that I do this, the more that it's going to line up to the grid. So I'm going to try that now. Good, and then what I can do, I can bring that in to there, and then I can right click and duplicate that so that it repeats the section. I'm just making sure it pretty much aligns on the grid, which it does. So now we've got this piano going all the way through on the keyboard stem. So let's have another listen. I'm going to zoom that in now, sorry, in terms of fade in. I'm going to fade this in to about there. So now let's have a listen. Great, so as an intro, I'm much happier with that now. That's a lot better. So at the bottom of this session, I'm going to add track. Now, once you create your new track, what you're then able to do is you can use this instrument section to add new instruments. So you highlight the region of where you want to be, for example here, and then you click what instrument you want. You can put in lyrics if it is for vocals, and you can fine tune the selection if you want to. You can also fix the alignment of the lyrics if they're wrong, and then you can go to add instrument at the bottom and then it'll generate. So this is an example of strings that have just been added in. So if you have a quick listen to it on solo, so we'll have a listen. Nice. So with the track, this is how it sounds. Amazing. And I could duplicate that and put that in the other choruses if I wanted to, but to be honest, because it's kind of one of the last ones, I'm going to keep that in. Let me just check this section here. Yeah, that's the main part of the song, so I'm going to leave that in there, which is great. Now what you can do on here, you can rename the track on here, so I'm going to call it Added Strings. And I'm also going to change the color of it. So I'm going to have that bright yellow. There we go. And that's just amazing. So you can generate whatever you want at any point of your song, which is just so cool. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to upload an audio sample. I've already done one here, which I'll go through in a moment. So to do that, you'll go to the first panel. You'll go to the create section, you'll go where it says plus audio, you'll click that and you'll click upload. Now I've got a screaming sound effect that I want to upload into that. So I'm going to save that. And then what happens in the second panel, you'll see that it's saying upload audio. So we'll wait for that to do. I'm just going to bring my studio back up. Now this is the first sound effect here. Quite a delayed reaction, that one. So I want that near the intro, and then this one is a scream. Quite extreme, that one. So I've got my uploaded samples, so I'm going to minimize the number 1 because I've already uploaded what I want to do. So now that I've got my sound effects imported into Suno, what I can do is I've got a new sample track down here, and I'm literally just going to drag and drop. So this is the first one, which is the whoosh. There we go. So I want that to start near the beginning, about there. And the great thing is you can play around with this stuff. I'm going to drag my second sample. Again, I'm just going to crop it a little bit. And on this one, let's have a look. There we go, that'll do. So let's have a listen to the intro now, see how it sounds. Let me minimize some of these as well to see how it looks when they're all minimized. That way we get a bit of the full picture then. That's our original track if you remember. So now let's have a listen. So I'm going to turn that right down because that's too loud. Let's try that. Even more, I think. In fact, it'll be because We've got a slow fade in, haven't we? So I'm going to move these around a little bit further into the mix. So let me try that one now. I started not right time for me. Yep, that's good. Ready for the scream. I want it to start about there, I think. Let's try again. Great. Now what I can do is I can duplicate that. Again, I can swap and change. I can duplicate the first one and I have those towards the end of the track. What you can also do, which I haven't covered, is you can select a whole region and then you can move that region like this, look, by just hovering over and dragging the first sample. So that is a really good guide. So I'm going to minimize, slide the bottom to where I want to go, which is near the end. Here we go. So getting this timed right is going to be a little tricky, so we'll have a listen. Got the strings again. That goes well. Try that again. Sounds much better now, much better. Wow, so I'm just blown away, absolutely blown away by Suno Studio in terms of what it can do. Remember, there's going to be more functionality hopefully coming forward, so that's going to be really exciting. And I love the user interface. I absolutely love how easy it is to manipulate, to chop, to edit, to duplicate, to copy, to do so much with it, to split, to add new samples, to generate new instruments. The world is your oyster now with Suno Studio. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.